This is a 3-generation antique prop house and thrift shop. This store was opened by my father in 1968, so it's really over 50 years old. I ran it for years. Now my son and my daughter-in-law are participating in it. We're geared toward the arts. We look for unusual things that could be seen on stage or in photo shoots, things that you won't see other places. So that's what we're constantly looking for, as well as tons and tons of vintage clothing. They're clothes usually from like the 50s, 60s, and 70s. This is our flapper costume area, which is, particular to Chicago. Because they were known for Prohibition and the wild parties 100 years ago. So a lot of people in Chicago like to dress up like Chicago gangsters and flappers. We have about 60 racks of costuming, corsets, clothing that can be used for burlesque. This is a machine that's it's marked Chicago, and it has an address of there's an address on it of Wells Street, like 105 on Wells. And for I don't know how long, we couldn't figure out what it even was. And it turns out that it's a book binding machine from the turn of the century. Mostly theatrical people will sell us their collections. Also, there's people that have worked in theater for a long time that they may have clothes that they don't need anymore. A lot of people know that we're like the buy-sell exchange place for Chicago. Anybody that wants to get rid of any cool stuff, they could just come here.
Heyday started in 2024. In spring, we decided to open a second location because we were slowly running out of room in our Joliet location, and we wanted to do a new store with a bunch of friends. So we landed on Evanston. Heyday is just a word that means back in the day. I was listening to an Elvis song, and he does talk about something about the heyday, and I'm like, okay, that sounds like a cool word. I think the most important thing we do is vintage curation, is saving garments from the landfill. It's very important to me to make sure this stuff has plenty of life cycles in the current day and age, and it gives people some quality clothing to wear. The other thing is to just give a place where people can be authentically themselves. Growing up, we didn't really have anything like this. It was more or less like I made fun of for buying secondhand, but now it's really cool and people really love it. The whole theme of basically Heyday this time around is there's a lot of vintage stores that do Western and a lot of other stuff. Our theme is a little bit more like Midwest bowling alley, Midwest bar. We sell a lot of vintage Northwestern. This one's really cool because it's a weird color. You don't really see too much that isn't gray, purple, or black. We try to do 2 big Evanston drops, one for March Madness and the other one for football season. We do have a couch, and we have a TV and a VHS player. The hope is that people can just come here if they have homework to do or something and they just want to sit down or get away from the world out there. They can come and sit in basically our glorified living room.
I used to work in construction. I had a small construction company that I had built. So a friend said to me, why don't you start a resale shop? You really like resale culture. You like all the aspects of how environmentally good it is. About a year later, we started this. Started in 2008, but we didn't open doors here in the shop till 2010. I wanted to do this because when you buy resale items, whether you buy them from your neighbor's garage sale or an antique store down the street, or you buy them from us, you are way slowing down that whole destructive cycle of virgin materials. When you have to produce virgin materials, you are taking away habitat for wildlife. You're putting a lot more pesticides into the environment. I like thinking about the periodic table, and I thought, well, could there be an element that you would call the green element? Something like the spark of earth. This guy came from a basement in Old Town, and the building sold, and this piece had been sitting in the basement since the 70s. So we kind of look at that guy as a mascot of our business. Almost every rack in here was donated at one point. We figured out how to repurpose it. These shelves used to be, they were fixed when they were out there, and then we came up with the idea to put them on wheels and build them into units. Boxes of books will come in from our more professional organizers who will organize a whole house where someone has either passed away, or it could be that they're downsizing, empty nesters. So I go through them and pick out the books that are more resellable, less esoteric, a little more broad. This is a thing that is kind of unique about us. I just never had the heart to be able to throw away people's pictures. I've seen people who can stand here and look at pictures for hours. One time I saw a young boy while his mom was shopping, he's just standing there looking, and I walked by and I said, "You're imagining all the stories of those people's lives, right?" And he said, "Yeah."